It's Pyram King, and I'm super excited to bring to you another epic guide to Legends of Barovia, a Curse of Strahd campaign. This is part 1 to Argynvostholt, and this is an epic location, very much like the Amber Temple. I had to divide it into 2 guides. It's big, and we've got new content, new locations, new monsters, new quests, new items. There's so much to explore here. Really excited about this location. Some beautiful maps in here. But before I get started, a huge shout out to you, the people that are supporting me in this epic long journey. We're going on 2 years putting these guides together. We got over 40 guides already. The detailed video guides, timestamp, the PDF guides. I got voice acting in this, in our Foundry modules. If you support me at the Foundry level, your names are credits right here in the guide. Look at all these amazing people. We're closing in on 800 supporters. I can't believe this. Huge shout out to you. Big thank you. It's totally amazing. If you support me at the PDF guide level, your names are in the PDF guide. So big shout out to all of you, whether you're at the PDF guides or you're supporting me at the Foundry module. This doesn't happen without you. So huge shout out. Really appreciate it. Now, a couple of special acknowledgments before we get started. As you know, my partner in this epic journey for 2 years through Curse of Strahd has been DM Andy, making the gorgeous battle maps we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at 2 of them here in this guide, the first floor and the second floor. That's what we're covering in part 1. Now, we're going to be using WebP versions of these. However, if you are looking for 4K or 8K versions of these maps, or with grid, or with weather effects and all special effects that DM Andy's had added, you can find those on his Patreon page. There's a link in the description below there. Check out those amazing maps. So if you're using Tabletop or Roll20 or some other Owlbear Rodeo or some other type of platform, those maps are all available over on DM Andy's page. In addition, a special thank you to James RPG Art. He graciously allows us to include a static WebP image in our guides for our members. We're going to be looking at one of those here. Now, if you like this, they come in high resolution as well as animated versions, and I highly recommend the animated versions. In this particular one, we're going to be looking at this one, but in the animated ones, the birds are flying in the background and everything. They're just so cool. Go check those out on James RPG Art's Patreon. There's a link in the description down below. Last but not least, none of this would be happening in Foundry if it wasn't for Blair and his Scene Packer module. Blair's Scene Packer module allows me to put all of this content together into an adventure module to share on Foundry. If you're interested in creating your own adventures for Foundry, check out Blair's Patreon page. Look at the different support levels. Learn a little bit about that. He'll help you put those together. That's just really awesome. Both Blair and DM Andy are on our Discord channel sharing ideas about maps. Blair's there helping our Patreon members with any questions they have about Foundry and our modules. Come by and say hello and thank you to them. They've been epically supporting this entire endeavor, so a huge shout out and thank you to them. So now, after that, let's jump into this amazing guide. I'm so excited to share this one to you. Now, as you know, I like to cover some background, some history, the NPCs of each location. I do that because I think it's important, even though you might not use all of it. The more knowledge you have at your fingertips, the easier it is for you as the DM to improvise. As you know, your players will do the least expected, craziest thing at the most inopportune moment, and if you have some information at your fingertips, it'll make it easier for you to improv that location. So we're going to cover a little bit of history. Before we get going here, I want to show you, this is the Theater of the Mind map by James RPG Art. I am just using some lighting effects on here to kind of simulate some mist and some fog on there, nothing really big, and I just walled it and I put a wall around it, and I have a glass wall at the bottom so I can have my character. That's me right there, visiting Argynvostholt. This is a great way to begin your session. They can see it. It creates a common frame of reference. Everybody sees what it looks like on the outside. It's great for some role-playing and talking about, what are we going to do? Look at this castle here, and part of it looks ruined over on the side. It's just really fun. There's a big dragon statue here. Really cool. Let's cover the history here a little bit. Now, the history here is a little bit different than Rules as Written. As you know, Legends of Barovia is an expanded version of Curse of Strahd. We've got our own timeline, a lot of history, some lore in there. So we're going to be talking about that here briefly. Now, Argynvost, as you know, was a silver dragon disguised as a nobleman. He came to Barovia in about year 274, over 500 years ago. He was an ally of the Fae, and some even believe the Fae asked him to come here to keep an eye over the kingdoms of man. Remember, the Fae in the kingdoms of man, when they brought their morning lord, had, they were, well, not very close. The Druids were actually, left the villages and people started worshiping the Morning Lord instead. Now, he hired the fabled Usari stonemasons to build his manor keep that we're looking at here, Argynvostholt. It's near Berez, overlooking the Lunar River. One day after this was built, he found a girl. Her parents were murdered, a baby, and he adopted her and raised her as his own daughter, and that is Lady Lugdana. She became one of the fabled knights of the Order of the Silver Dragon. In fact, one of the most fierce knights in all of Barovia. Now, aware of the secrets being held in the Amber Temple, he used his wealth to hire the Asari stone masons to build the gates of Salenka to protect any incursions into the Amber Temple. We've got a great guide and some history there, even a book about the battles of the gates of Salenka there. Now, after the Great War, Argynvost was deemed a traitor, and he was murdered along with his daughter by Strahd. Strahd also captured and killed all of his knights, save for one. The head of his knights' order was Vladimir Hornguard, and right before Vladimir was being tortured by Strahd, and right before he died, Vladimir's hate-fueled vengeance brought him back from the dead as a revenant, and he had so much hate welling in him against Strahd for Strahd killing his lord Argynvost and destroying his order, that hate brought back other revenant knights, and to this day they are myopically focused on Strahd, doing anything they can to make to torment him. They know Strahd is a vampire, that he's dead, he can't be killed, but they're making his life just miserable for the last several hundred years. Now, the full story of Argynvost and his daughter can be found in two-player handouts, The Fall of Argynvost and The Legend of Lugdana. Both of these are player handouts. They're both available for free. There's links down in the description below. Players can find these to learn a little bit more about lore. These will both be quest items. We'll talk about those in part 2, the video part 2 of Argynvostholt in there. So they may be needed as part of an alternative quest in here. Now, Vladimir, he currently rules over Argynvost. Massive hatred and vengeance. He is just full of torment and hate towards Strahd. However, while the Revenants do serve him, and they are loyal to him, not all have fallen into that same hate-filled vengeance that Vladimir has. Sir Godfrey, who is second command, Vladimir's friend and confidant, wishes to see the end of the centuries of hateful vengeance, and a few other knights would join Sir Godfrey in convincing Vladimir to end this. They may be able to convince him. And this is part of the quest, the big quest line here. There's one big quest here. It's called the Suffering Quest. We'll be talking about that here and talking about it shortly. Now, we got a new monster and creature here. This replaces the spiders in the south part of Argynvost, the ruins part of it. And these are spider revenants. See, Strahd has made an ally with an evil spider queen. Her lair is very nearby Argynvost. And he's promised her power and the land of Argynvostholt if she's able to dispense with these revenant knights once and for all. He hates them. He kills them, they come back. He kills them, come back. If he can allocate this to someone to deal with, which is the Spider Queen, and get rid of them, then he's created an ally and got rid of this torment, these revenants. Now, she has captured several of the revenants as they resurrect, and she has converted them into spider revenants, and they have already been starting to plague Argynvostholt at the south end where it's been breached. Now, it's only a matter of time before she converts enough of them that they become a big problem. Right now, Vladimir sees them as a mere nuisance. He doesn't really care about them. His focus is on Strahd. Now, the Spider Queen's lair will be a new location. It's a new side quest. There'll be a whole guide for that. I'll be talking about that. But that gives you what's going on here with these Spider Revenants. We'll be covering their stat blocks here in this video as well. Now, the Sunblade, and that's not to be mistaken with the Sun Sword, they're almost the same thing. The Sunblade, which Madame Ava tells you about, it's hidden here in Argynvostholt in the tower. And if the players try to get it, it's protected in a glass magic box that's protected by the glyph of warding. And the only way the players can get to it is returning the skull of Argynvost, and Sir Godfrey will freely gift it to the players if they bring back the skull of Argynvost and place it in the museum. Now, some side note about that Sunblade. It's a weapon. Rules is written. You can find it in Dungeons and Dragons. But to make it into the Sun Sword, you need to find the hilt, which is hidden in the Wizard's Tower. You take the hilt and the Sunblade to Sergei in Kresk, Strahd's brother, the spirit of Strahd's brother. He will form them together, merge them together, creating this Sun Sword, and it is Sergei's spirit that will be infused into the hilt, making it a sentient weapon, as Sergei wants to see the end of his brother Strahd's reign. So the Sunblade can be used in and of itself, but if you want to ramp up that power, get that hilt, take it to Sergei, he'll fuse them together, and the sentient being in the Sun Sword is Strahd's brother, Sergei, looking to end his brother's reign in there. Remember, it was Sergei that was betrothed to Tatiana. So, I mean, he has Sergei probably has a little bit of hatred towards his brother, So that kind of gives you the overall story about what's going on here. Now we'll talk about the NPCs. We got all our NPCs. We got some new ones here and some named NPCs. So the first one is Vladimir, of course. Here he is, Sir Vladimir Horngard. He's the commander of the Order. He was second in command under Lord Argynvost. He is blinded by hate and vengeance. Players who confront him, taunt him, act hostile to him, he will attack without mercy, and he is very powerful. You could have a TPK if you go at Vladimir the wrong way. Now, he will not allow the players to return the skull of Argynvost. We'll talk about that during the quest and why, unless he can be convinced by Sir Godfrey, Lady Lugdana, and at least 2 other knights, or perhaps a ghost. And that's all part of the quest, the suffering. Now, I put a little text in here. This text is pulled from the player handout from the Fall of Argynvost. It gives you a little bit more background and flavor of who this Vladimir character is. Next up, we have Sir Godfrey. Godfrey is the second command of the Order, confidant of Vladimir, perhaps once his lover and most trusted friend. Godfrey remains loyal to Vladimir, but he's not filled with hatred and desires the skull of his master, Lord Argynvost, to be put to rest, to end this curse of these Revenants, to find peace, right? Godfrey has also become kind of a father figure to Lady Lugdana, since her adopted father Argynvost has passed away. He's very knowledgeable about the Fays and about Barovia. He may even become an ally of the party. If the players do return the skull of Argynvost, if the blue gem is hidden here at Argynvost, if you're running the Fey quest, which is it's hidden in Argynvost's bedroom, Sir Godfrey, if you bring back the skull, he will freely give you the blue gem. In addition, if you bring back the skull, he will freely bring you the Sunblade, allow you to get to the Sunblade and in the magic that's protecting the Sunblade. So both of those items, if the blue gem is here, or if you need that Sunblade, Sir Godfrey will certainly help you out. Now, a new character here is the spirit of Lugdana. This is Argynvost's adopted daughter. She was one of the bravest knights of the Order. She was also close friends with the sisters of the Abbey, including Sister Constance and Sister Markovia. Lugdana was also entrusted with the symbol of Ravenkind to strike down her enemies, especially the undead. She became very well known throughout Barovia as a defender of the weak and destroyer of the undead. Now, her spirit is anchored to Argynvost. Remember, she was murdered here in Argynvostholt along with her father. Strahd murdered her and her father. He set a trap, luring the knights away and murdered Argynvost. All of that's told in the book Fall of Argynvost and the Legend of Lugdana. Her spirit's trapped here. She is also a quest giver for the suffering. Both Sir Godfrey or Sir Lady Lugdana are both the quest giver for the suffering quest. So the players will get it from one of these two. They'll run into one of these two NPCs at some time in Argynvostholt. We'll be talking about part of that in this guide. Now, we have some named Revenant Knights, and these named Revenant Knights are all tied to the quest of suffering. We have Sir Armorik the Romantic, Sir Sonet the Poet, Sir Fortis the Defiler, Sir Pius the Righteous, and those are the 4 named Revenant Knights in here that will be part of the suffering quest, and we'll talk about them in more detail. In addition, we have the ghost of Sister Mercia. She was a sister assigned to Argynvostholt as a nurse to the injured knights during the Great War. She was murdered and killed here at Argynvost. Her spirit is locked here, and we'll talk about each of those quests and their backgrounds when we get to them in here. So that gives you kind of the background of the NPCs that we find here in Argynvostholt. Now let's talk about that quest, because that quest really ties Argynvostholt together with the skull of Argynvost. So Vladimir and the knights loyal to him will not allow for the skull of Argynvost to be returned. Now, why is that? Why don't they want their Lord Argynvost's skull returned here? So Vladimir knows if the skull is returned, he'll be forced to find peace and end his vendetta against Strahd. He can't abide this. You got to remember, for centuries, he has been fueled with raging vengeance. His only purpose is to bring torment to Strahd. It's what fuels him. Ending that, he can't see ending that, because what Strahd did to his lord and to his knights and to his order is, in Vladimir's mind, is internally unforgivable, right? So he won't allow the skull to be returned. Now, the mausoleum is also protected by an arcane lock and a glyph of warning. And if you try to break the arcane lock, any method, that glyph of warning will go off and it'll be bad. It is protected by a password, and the password is "with Lugdana's blessing." Only Vladimir knows this password. Now, there's also a Revenant loyal to Vladimir who stands guard outside the door. And if you try to lay siege or try to get into the mausoleum, he'll call more Revenants. Now, while it is possible to fight the Revenants, get through that arcane lock, survive the glyph of warning, and get in there and return the skull, it's going to be a deadly, deadly encounter. And there's another way, and that is the quest, the suffering. If the players can convert some of these knights, help these knights, they will come to Vladimir and request for the skull to be returned. Not all the knights and the spirits serve with unyielding loyalty to Vladimir. Sir Godfrey, the second in command, the confident, he's grown estranged. He wants to end this suffering. The spirit of Lugdana, the daughter, she too wants to end this. She just says, I'm stuck here. We just want to end this. But Vladimir sees Lugdana is kind of blinded by the love for their father. He's like, it's understandable, you love your father, Argynvost. I did too, but you don't understand our mission. Vladimir wants to live eternally to torment Strahd. Now, Vladimir believes that his confidant, Sir Godfrey, is only echoing Lugdana's love for her father. So your job, the player's job, is to find other knights and spirits that can be convinced who will join Sir Godfrey and Lady Lugdana to convince Vladimir to unseal the mausoleum and allow the skull of Argynvost to finally be laid to rest. Why would Vladimir do this? Well, if enough of the knights, remember, the knights are loyal to Vladimir. The Revenant knights are loyal to Vladimir. But Vladimir is loyal to his knights. His vengeance is fueled because what happened to his knights. If his knights come to him, enough of his knights come to him, Sir Godfrey comes to him, Lady Lugdana, and they say, look, we've done this for centuries. It's time. It's time to put my father's skull in the mausoleum and to end this. He will listen to them. So far, none of them, other than Sir Godfrey and Lady Lugdana, has made any kind of request and pleas, and he's been ignoring it. But if enough of them come up, he will do that. Now, there's two quest givers for this quest to get the other Revenant knights and spirits to stand up, and that's Sir Godfrey, as I mentioned, and Lady Lugdana. There are 5 quests. You only need 2 of them to be completed to convince Sir Godfrey to confront Vladimir. So if you get 2 of these quests, you finish 2 of these quests, those 2 knights with Sir Godfrey and Lady Lugdana will be enough to convince Vladimir to unseal the mausoleum. Now, optionally, depending on your party size, party level, party experience, your particular campaign, you might want to make it 3 quests, 4 quests, or all 5 of the quests that must be completed before Vladimir is convinced. That's up to you. It gives you a lot of room to maneuver on how you want to do it. Let's talk about each one of these quests. Okay, so the first one here is Sir Pius the Righteous. This is the priest. Here he is here. And and I have him here in the NPC as well. You can read this right here. So Sir Pius here, he's the priest of the order. He knows several powerful spells. He will also bless the knights before battle. Now, he's a faithful follower of the Morning Lord, and the great holy relic icon of Ravenloft was gifted. The icon of Ravenloft was gifted to Strahd before he became evil. Now, the pious knight, Sir Pius the Righteous, says Strahd doesn't deserve this holy relic. It is in the chapel of Ravenloft. He is requesting the players to go to the chapel in Ravenloft, grab the icon of Ravenloft, the holy relic, and bring it back here. If you do, Sir Pius will teach the players 4 of his spells and be indebted to them. Being indebted to them means he will go to Vladimir as one of the knights and say, Vladimir, you need to open up the mausoleum and let them return the skull of Argynvost. That's the first one here. The next one we have here is the ghost of Sister Mercia. The ghost of Sister Mercia was the sister, as I mentioned. She was sent to Argynvost to care for the injured knights during the Great War. She was murdered here. She is a spirit. She's a ghost. She will tell the players, my bones, I was murdered here. My spirit is trapped here in Argynvostholt. Please take my bones back to the abbey of Sister Markovia in Krusk and bury them in the graveyard. Give me a proper burial. If you do this, I'll be forever indebted to you. This also helps introduce the players if they haven't been to the abbey, or if they're looking for the holy symbol of Ravenkind, it'll get the players to the abbey. In doing this, she will be indebted to the players, and she will go to Vladimir, who will listen to her. She was the sister, treated like a sister, literally like a sister of the knights, because she lived there and helped those knights during the epic long Great War. She will convince Vladimir. So that's another one. The next one is Sir Fortis the Defiler. Sir Fortis the Defiler is the master at arms of Argynvost. He is in charge of the safety of Argynvostholt, and he is seeing these spider revenants as a huge problem. They're growing in numbers, becoming a problem. He has been asking Vladimir for contingents of revenants to go seek out the Spider Queen, destroy her, and kill her. But Sir Vladimir says, no, our job is to torment Strahd. These spider revenants are just a nuisance. Deal with them when they come. If the players take his quest, they will go to the Spider Queen's lair, behead her, bring back the head in the Revenant, Spider Revenant problem, and Sir Fortis will be forever in the player's debt. He will go and tell Vladimir, let the players return the skull of Argynvost in this hate-filled vengeance. That whole Spider Revenant quest will be a separate mini quest. There'll be a guy with a great map from Diamandi. Really excited to bring that to you. The next of the suffering quest is the Armorik the Romantic. Now, Armorik the Romantic was in love with Marina, the village girl from Berez, who Strahd converted, or tried to convert into a vampire. Brother Gregor killed her, saved her soul, and she's in the crypt. Well, Sir Armorik the Romantic has learned that her crypt has been desecrated. There's vampire zombies there. He requests for her, the spirit of the one he loves, to have eternal rest, to go there, find Brother Gregor, learn how to consecrate the ground in the crypt, and get rid of the zombie vampires, so his love, the spirit of Marina, can finally seek eternal peace. So this ties into, if you haven't seen the guide, the Berez Church and Marina's crypt, this sends the players specifically to the church and to Maria's crypt to finish that quest line. If you do that, he will be indebted to you, and he will go and tell Vladimir, it's time to open up the mausoleum and let them return the skull of Argynvost. So he will be indebted to you. Last but not least, the last quest of the 5, of which, again, you only need to do a minimum of 2, gives the players a choice, or you can have them do more, is Sir Sonet the Poet. Sir Sonet the Poet was the librarian of Argynvost. The library has been ransacked, damaged, any of the books have long been perished or stolen. He desires the tombs to be returned. He believes in, as a poet, he believes in the value of knowledge and history for generations to come. He wishes for these great tombs, these books, to be returned and the library restored. There are 6 books: The Fall of Argynvost, Legends of Lugdana, The Battle of Berez, The Battle of Slinka Gates, Lords of Barovia, and The Song of the Sunblade. These 6 books are hidden throughout Barovia. They're in libraries, they're in the Wizard's Tower, they're in the bookstore. Players find all 6 of these books, return them, put them in the library. Sir Sonet will be forever in the player's debt, and he will go to Vladimir and say, hey, it's time to open up the mausoleum. Let them return the skull of Argynvost and end our hate-filled vengeance. So this is the Suffering Quest. It's 5 quests. Players need to do at least 2 in order to help convince Vladimir to open up the mausoleum. So these NPCs are hidden, scattered throughout Argynvostholt. So that gives you the kind of the background and the big quest line that opens up a lot of little mini quests to come back to open up that mausoleum if the players don't want to try to brute force it. Okay, let's jump into the map. We've got everything covered, the big quest line, the NPCs. Really excited to show you the first map, and here we go. Let's go ahead and activate up the first map, and we'll be going through the first floor here. Now look at this. This is just a gorgeous map by DM Andy. I love this map here. And we're gonna be following me through this whole map. We're gonna be doing just the first 2 floors in here. We got the locations over here. Let me open that up. There's the first floor locations. And again, I have links back to D&D Beyond, so if you want to use rules as written, you're more than welcome to. But again, a lot of this content has been changed for Legends of the Barovian to meet with these quest lines and the whole storyline. So here I am outside. Check me out. There we are. And there's this big dragon. You can see this big dragon statue here. And the dragon statue has seen far better days. This is pretty much rules as written. If you do an Arcana check, you realize it contained some powerful magic at one time, but now it's nothing. Now, as you step up to the front doors, you'll notice here at the front doors at the main gate, there's 2 massive doors marking the entrance to the keep. There's a dragon shield, and there's a picture of a dragon shield right here mounted on each door. It's kind of worn away through the elements. Above on the mantle, on the lintel above the door, it says Argynvostholt. Now, a passive history, DC 15, reveals the dragon insignia is the Order of the Silver Dragon. Now, if you're using the Sunblade player hook from the campaign start, these are the players looking for the Sunblade. They will recognize this emblem immediately. This is the kind of a worn away shield in there, and they'll go, oh, we are in the right place. That is the emblem of the Order of the Silver Dragon. Here's a bigger image of it. You can share it with the players on the screen. It's a kind of a worn shield of a dragon head coming at you, and those are the shields that are on the door, indicating you found the right place. As you enter in through these double doors, here I am, still smiling in here, like, this place is looking a little creepy. You come into the main hall here, and in the main hall, in the Dragon's Foyer, you'll notice at the far end there's this grand staircase right here. And on the top of the grand staircase, you have this tapestry hanging. You see, DM Andy's included all the little details. Here is actually what the tapestry looks like, and show the player here. It's an old tapestry, kind of worn away over the centuries, but it is a beautiful tapestry of a dragon there on there. And this is just another indication you are in the keep of the Order of the Silver Dragon. So as you've read the lore and you're learning more and more about it, this kind of reinforces all of that you're learning about here. Now, there are some doors. It talks about double doors to the north, double doors to the south. Here, there's some statues of some knights along the wall. The place is looking pretty decrepit in here, but we're going to start going north. We'll start at north, then we'll head south, and then we'll do the chapel last before we go to the second floor. So as we go north, and we got some cool monks active tile tokens here. In here is where the players, you're gonna come into this room here, and this is the Dragon's Den. And in the Dragon's Den, there's a wood panel den that's been ransacked, the furniture has been tossed about. There's a cold dark hearth dominates the west wall between the 2 narrow windows. Now, as soon as the players all get into this room, what happens is a fire just starts in the fireplace, and the flames start to turn into a dragon. So we got these dragon flames that are coming out here. You're going to have the players roll initiative right away. The dragon flame has an initiative count. Oh, let me give him his hit points back. He has an initiative count of 10. It only has 10 hit points. Initiative count of 10. It does no damage. What you're doing here is this flames have turned into this dragon head. You're rolling initiative, see how the players are going to react. Here, you see the flames. It's looking like a dragon coming out of the fireplace. Now, if the dragon gets to his turn, right? What's going to happen is this: the dragon's going to speak to the players, and we've got the dragon voice. I've done a bunch of voice acting here. I hope you like this. I've got all the NPC speeches here. So this is what the dragon says on his turn. If it's not dead, this flame spirit dragon is going to say this.
My knights have fallen into darkness. Save them if you can. Show them the light they have lost.
You can send this to chat as well by just clicking right. Whoop. I don't know why it's not letting me to send it to chat. Well, here it is right here. My knights have fallen into darkness. Save them if you can. Show them the light they have lost. Now, if the players kill him, or if they kill it only has 10 hit points before he gets to say this, this is what happens. Now, I've created there's a hidden monk's tile trigger in here. All the players in here, what happens is this. Okay, so let me just make sure I got enough hit points. I'll put myself up to 50. I'm in here. We're going to go. The dragon hasn't said anything. We attack the dragon before it gets to its initiative count of 10. Dragon's hit points reach 0. You're just going to double, as a GM, you're just going to double click in here, and this is going to what's going to happen. Let me just bring this up so you can see this. I've taken 4 damage, 2d10. Now, there's 2 ways you can run this. You can run this rules as written, where the players make a dexterity save, DC 12. They take 40-10 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just do what I just did and just double-click the thing. There's no dexterity save. They just take 2d10, half as much damage, just 2d10 worth of damage there automatically. There's no dexterity save. They just take the 2d10 damage. Depends on how you want to run it. You want to run it automatically or not. I like to run it automatically. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it's just, check this out. It's 10 seconds. It stops the game. Everybody in the room. I'll go hide the dragon over here. He's left the room. Everybody's there on fire. What the hell? And then it automatically rolls, and everybody in the room takes the damage. Look, I just took 13. So it's really, really cool. What's happening is the dragon, that you've destroyed the dragon, and it just explodes. The dragon explodes into a fire explosion that just incinerates the room and everything inside the room. So that's what happens in there. Pretty cool. I really like monk's tile triggers, if you haven't noticed already. Okay, we get up into this room, and one thing I noticed about Argynvostholt, a lot of the rooms were just empty, just brief descriptions. So I added a couple of things, simple things into each of the rooms, and I'm going to show you this new mechanic I like. It's very, very simple. So they come into this room as the parlor, and there's chill wind. Wind blows through the broken window, and I got a chill wind. There, see, I fix things on the fly. There's a mural. There's a mural on the ceiling and all of that, and you describe the room. If the players search the room, this is a new mechanic that I really like. If the players search the room with a perception check, what I've made is a scaling perception check with rewards. This is a way that you can add some low-level items, maybe a low-level magic item or something like that, that's not necessarily germane to the quest line or germane to the campaign, but might be an item that may be helpful to the players. Each player gets to roll their perception check once, and then you have a scaling DC. So for instance, if they roll a DC 18 exactly, well, they found a basic potion. If they roll a DC 19 exactly, they found a vicious dagger. And if they roll a DC 20 or higher on their perception, they find a ring of perception. This is a way of creating a scaling high-level DC on a perception check to hide various items in a room. So if they roll under 18, they find nothing. You say, search around, nothing. But one player might find something, somebody else might not find something. Now, you can scale this however you want to. You might want to add DC 16, 17, or 21, or 15, and you might want to change the items. I've just put this in here. If you want to expand on it, feel free to do so. I like to do this because it allows a possibility of a search to reveal something, and this is a way to include a random cool thing in there, and try to fit the items that you think would be in this room that would fit into the story really well, or maybe it's a small item that might help them later in this session or in the campaign with something specific. So that's what you find in here. As the players head down the hallway here, we open up the door. Look, I'm still looking kind of happy. We got these doors are locked. These iron gates lock. A successful lock picking DC 20 allows you to get through the locks, or an 18 strength check. This just goes to the outside. We come up over here and we get to the servants' quarters. There we go. And here are the servants' quarters. There's nothing in this room. You do notice that this is the staff's quarters at one time. The room's kind of ransacked. It's dirty and messy. The only thing left here is kind of a standing table. Nothing of value in here. And then they get into the kitchen. And the kitchen, again, nothing super of value in here. But what I included was a swarm of bats have made a roost inside the hearth. And I would trigger this one of two ways. If the players are making a lot of noise, searching the room, you're gonna wake this swarm. If if a player gets near the fireplace, right next to the fireplace, I'm going to have the bats come out of the roost and surprise attack the player. This is a surprise attack. Swarm of bats is a low level for this area. It's only a quarter CR, 22 hit points. But you want to create this. What you want to do is you're putting your players in the back foot. The unexpected will happen. Some bats fly out from underneath the heart as you're there. You're swarming bats. They get the first attack. Roll initiative. So this is not supposed to be a deadly combat. This is supposed to be a surprise, right? A shock and surprise. The bats kind of come, whole swarm of bats come flying out of that hearth. You're just kind of can't see. They're all around you and attacking you. And it gets the players a little startled. That's the whole point of this, right? Is to startle the players. This place is haunted. Be prepared for the unexpected is what this is telling you. If you come down to the next room over here, is we've got the room with the wine in it. Now, rules is written, if we go to the rules is written in the wine storage, there's the elf, the dusk elf hiding in the corner looking for error. I dropped that. If you want to include that, feel free to include it. I just thought, I don't know, I didn't include it. It's up to you if you want to include it. The only thing I did put in here, if the players find, is they found a bottle of the Champagne de l'Estampe. And why is that? This is that if you got that Petra quest from the Tesser pools, Petra is the Vistani merchant, says, I am just looking for the bottle of Champagne de l'Estampe. There's only a couple of bottles in all of Barovia. There is one here. There's one in the ruins of the Burgermeister's cellar, which is really hard to get. And there's one in the cellar in Ravenloft. If you get one of these and you take it to Petra, he'll exchange it for one of his magic items. So if the players are really hot to get that magic item or something from Petra, here's a location of one of the bottles of Champagne de l'Estampe. Okay, we're going to head to the south side. Okay, and this is where we're going to run into the Revenants fighting the spiders. So this is, I've changed out the spiders. I got rid of the spiders here. And this is where we have the 3 Revenants fighting off a spider Revenant. Remember, we talked about the spider Revenants invading here. You can see there's webs here. This is the whole south side of Argynvost has kind of collapsed, and this is where the spider Revenants have been making their advance. The south wall and part of the ceiling has collapsed, exposing the elements. Rubble, oak timbers, and thick webs cover what appears to have once been a grand ballroom. You hear a skirmish. While dark, you're able to make out creatures fighting each other. 3 undead knights are in close quarter combats with these spider Revenants. Now, you can have it 1 or 2 spider Revenants. I have 1 here. A couple of them are hidden here. Let's talk about the spider Revenants and the Revenant stat blocks really quickly and give you an idea of what's going on. The spider Revenant is a Revenant stat block. They look the same from as far as the attributes, hit points, armor class, and everything, except for their features has changed. They have a claw attack. Now, these are Revenants that have been turned into a partial spider. So their hands have kind of turned into spider claws. They have a spider bite and spider claws. They look pretty, let's zoom in on one of these so you can take a look at why these things look so nasty. Here we go. View the character artwork. There it is. So it's a Revenant that's been kind of covered in spider webs and it's turned into a spider web. It's being controlled by the Spider Queen. The Revenant, by the way, Spider Revenant, only speaks Abyssal. It's immune to poison damage, necrotic, non-magical, physical, and psychics. It's vulnerable to radiant damage. It's immune to charm, exhaustion, frighten, paralyze, poison, and stun. It can climb 30 feet. So it has a claw attack. Claw attack does 3d6 plus 4 slashing. It also has a bite. if it's managed to grapple or incapacitate using its web, it will bite. That does 1d8 plus 2 damage, plus the character must succeed a dexterity save DC 15 or suffer an additional 1d10 worth of poison. So the bite's nasty, it can give you poison. The Spider Revenants don't usually do this with the Revenants because they know the Revenants are immune to poison. But if they get one of your players and that player's incapacitated or grappled, the Spider Revenant's going for it. They get multi-attack with their claw attacks. They have the web on a recharge of a 5 or 6, so they can shoot that web and try to incapacitate someone. That's why you see all these spider webs here. They have all the other Revenant features, plus spider climb and web walking. They can walk on the webs and they can spider climb. So they are nasty. Now, the players are going to do one of three. I figured your players are going to do one of a couple of things when they get here. They're going to see this combat. They're going to see these Revenant Knights fighting one or two of these Spider Revenants. The players are either going to ignore it and walk out, right? Nothing really happens. The players are either going to help the Revenants fight the Spider Revenants. If so, the Revenants in here, these Revenants in here will be, semi-friendly. They're not going to be friends. They're going to be ambivalent. They're going to say, hey, thanks for the help, but, what are you doing here? You're no longer welcome here. You may be free to go. They're not going to attack the players. What it does is it lowers, it de-escalates a possible hostile encounter with the Revenants of Argynvostholt. So if the players help the Revenants defeat the Spider Revenants, it will de-escalate the relationship. It gives them a little bit more freedom to walk throughout the keep without immediately being attacked by Revenants. There are other things that will attack the players here, but you've de-escalated the possibility of the Revenants just all-out attacking the players by helping the Revenants. Now, if the players decide, hey, we're going to help the Spider Revenants defeat these Revenants, maybe that's what they want to do, the Spider Revenants are mind-controlled. So they don't care if you help them or not, because as soon as you're done defeating the Revenants, the Spider Revenants are going to turn on the players, right? The Spider Revenants will not seek allies. They have no ability to make independent decisions like the Revenants do. They are mind-controlled by the Spider Queen. They only speak Abyssal, and they've been in this kind of Spider Revenant curse to do one thing, to attack the Revenants here and slowly try to take over Argynvostholt. So that's what's going on here. Yeah, I got a little information about running the encounter a little bit more here, but that's what's going on here. I've got a couple of the more Spider Revenants hidden in here. I put in a sound effect. I might change it for the Spider Revenants. I'll play it for you really quick. It's kind of this eerie sound that they make. So there's this combat going on here. The players will run into this combat. There's another Spider Hidden Revenant over here. So that's what's going on here. I wanted to include this instead of just the spiders here because it creates a direct enemy for the Revenants that can be disposed of, and it gives the possibility of the players kind of creating a neutral-based, kind of ambiguous relationship with the Revenants at the start, right? It gives them a little bit more leeway to explore the keep without the Revenants being immediately hostile towards them, right? They say, hey, these guys helped us. We're not going to just kill them. They're not really welcome here, but we're, giving a little bit of leeway. It opens up, it reduces the amount of friction that could possibly happen here. All right. The players head up into the main dining room here. Whoops, that's me. And the main dining room here, I added a little cool feature in here. So, of course, there's the big dining room table here. We can see it here. And in the alcoves are these two life-size statues depicting knights with dragon wing helms and shields. The statue's eyes pulse with a red glow. You can see that right here. See the statue's eyes pulsing with a red glow? Players are going to see that. You're going to visually see that in the game. Now, if the players go over there to look and inspect it, if any of the players go, I want to inspect these statues or look at these statues, if they get close to the statues to inspect them, okay? I'm going over here to inspect this statue right here. You're going to have the players roll a wisdom save DC 12. On if they fail, they're going to suffer 1d8 of psychic damage, and they're going to be blinded for 2 to 4 minutes. The player will not know how long they remain blinded or if it's permanent. Keep this a secret. Let them figure it out how to manage the situation. What happens is the statue's eyes glow a deep red. You feel them penetrate your very being, looking deep within your soul. You feel burning pain in your head and eyes. So these statues are possessed. If you stare at them, anything where the players are engaging with the statue, where they're getting close and making contacts with that, they're going to have to roll this wisdom save, DC 12. Failing it, they're going to suffer some psychic damage. Their eyes and heads are going to hurt, and they're going to be blinded for 2d4 minutes. So that's what happens right here. Then we head into the chapel here. We've got this lovely chapel. And when you get into the chapel, you're going to see a knight. Where is it? Right here. The altar is carved with the rising sun base. There's a knight kneeling at the altar right here, and that is Sir Pius. Sir Pius, the priest, is kneeling here. You've got 2 revenants standing to the north and south. Now, he is either going to welcome or not welcome the players, and that really depends on how they dealt with that encounter with the spider revenants. If they help the revenants with the spider revenants, he's going to be welcoming. If they didn't help the revenants with the spider revenants, he won't be welcoming. I got 2 little voice acting here. So if they're not welcoming, right, when they approach, he'll rise up and he'll turn to them and he'll say,
"You have crossed the threshold of the chapel of the morning uninvited. Speak now, or prepare to die."
If they did enter and they helped out those revenants with the spiders, he'll be a little bit more welcoming. He'll say,
"Welcome to the chapel of morning. We have not had visitors of the living for some time."
Now, if you engage with him, he is going to give the players a quest. The players at this point won't know that this is one of the suffering quests. They'll just think he's making a request to the players to help the players out. Later on, when they run into the spirit of Lady Lugdana, which we will do in this or into Sir Godfrey, they'll realize the quest that he's asking the players to do is one of the things that he will if they do them for him, he will go to Vladimir and say, "Hey, you got to release the vault." So this is a kind of a foreshadowing of a quest that the players may accept now, or they might come back and accept it later. So let's hear his quest. It's written here, but I'm going to go ahead. I'll play it for you, then I'll run it to chat. Here it goes.
"Perhaps you can help restore the chapel of morning to its former glory. A gift, the icon of Ravenloft, was given to Lord Strahd before he turned to darkness. He is no longer worthy of such a great gift. It resides in the chapel of Ravenloft. Retrieve it, and I will teach you what I know."
Now, the icon of Ravenloft is hidden in the chapel of Ravenloft. The icon of Ravenloft is hidden in the chapel of Ravenloft. If they bring it back here, it is a powerful magic item, but if they return it here, he again will be one of the quest givers for the suffering quest that will convince Vladimir to open up the mausoleum. He will also teach the player or players 4 of his spells. Now, any 4 of his spells that he knows. The spells must be on the player's approved spell list and a level they can normally cast. The 4 spells could be divided among the party or different players if you want. So these are all the spells that the Revenant priest knows. Now, his stat block has been updated to a spell book. He's a level 7 priest, so he has these spells that he knows. Any of these spells he's willing to teach the players if they complete that quest. Now, if you go into combat with him, obviously he has these spells. He's got 2 revenants in here, and he will go quickly into combat to defend himself or the other revenants. So this gives you a little bit about he is a normal revenant, except for he has this spell book. He's a spellcaster revenant, the priest is. All right, so that's pretty cool. We've got his whole quest here, and now we're going to head outside into the cemetery. and talk about the mausoleum. So we got the cemetery out here. Here's the gorgeous cemetery by Diamandi. Got some outdoor lighting. Check this out. It's kind of, you'll see the lighting kind of fade in and out. So let's talk a little bit about the cemetery. Tucked behind the mansion in far side of cemeteries includes a 7-foot tall fence wrought iron. In the northeast corner stands a mausoleum. A Revenant stands at the door leading the mausoleum. The players won't be able to see inside. They'll just see this Revenant standing here. The door is locked. The Revenant is loyal to Vladimir. He will stand between the players and the door if it is clear the players are not welcomed here, right? If the players try to press him, he will go, you'll roll initiative. He will call more Revenants to aid. 2 more Revenants will show up at the beginning of round 2. So you're going to have to fight off 3 Revenants. Then you're going to have to get through the Arcane Lock. The Arcane Lock is a DC 25. If you have the knock spell, it will suppress the Arcane Lock for 10 minutes. However, if you don't use the password, use the knock spell, or you break through the door, it has a glyph of warning. Now, if you do a intelligent investigation check DC 14, you'll notice the glyph of warning. If you don't, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to put myself right here. We've killed off this Revenant. He's gone. We're here. We're trying to get through the door. We're trying to bust it open. We set off the glyph of warning. Just like the other one, this square in here is an invisible tile. You, as the DM, will just double-click it, and you're going to take 8d8 worth of fire damage. Anyone in one of these squares, that right there, by the way, you can see is the tile right here. So any one of these squares will have that fire glyph of warning damage. So it's not going to be good if you don't open the door the right way by having Vladimir. If you do finish the Quest of the Suffering, Vladimir will give you the password. He will, so you can open up the door, the glyph of warning won't go off, and that Revenants will stand down. Now, when you get inside here, you're in the mausoleum. Let's say you brought the skull in, right? Inside the mausoleum, if you can read, there's writing over the, in the walls, there's some sculptures of gargoyles with dragon wings. There's a soft glow with some candles burning in here, as you can see. If you can read Draconic, the cipher reads Argynvost, Lord of the Order of the Silver Dragons, Protectorate of the Realm, and Brother to the Fae. Now, if you return the skull of Argynvost and place it here in the mausoleum, what you're going to do is there's a button over here. You're going to click this, and it will light the beacon. It will light it up on all maps. Right? There's a button right here that says Beacon of Argynvost. You're just going to double click it, and you're going to hear the voice of Argynvost, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. So you return the skull of Argynvost. You've done that quest. The beacon will light, and every single map until you get to the top tower will be the brightest where the beacon is actually going off. But you'll see the light here. So I'll double click it, and then you'll hear what happens. Maybe you won't hear what happens. I don't know why I didn't play. Let me just do this again. Hold on.
I have waited centuries to be laid to rest. You have accomplished where many have failed. There remains hope that light can prevail over darkness. My knights have been freed of their curse. Let my beacon shine upon Barovia, casting a glimmer of hope that not all is forgotten. The Dark Lord's reign will end. Go in peace. Know you have been blessed by the dragon Argynvost.
Now, as soon as he gets done speaking, all the players recover 100% of their hit points, and they also gain 3d8 of temporary hit points. So they regain 100% of his hit point. The dragon, the spirit of Argynvost, is blessing the players. They've returned the skulls. 100% of their hit points are recovered, and they get an additional 3d8 worth of hit points. The beacon is lights up. Once you click that, it'll light up every single map in here. So as you travel through it, or up to the top or to the bottom, you'll see the beacon of Argynvost going off. It's really, really cool. Again, another Monk's active tile triggers totally make this really cool. So let's head up. Now, by the way, I just wanted to show you, I'm using Monk's active tile triggers, so we have up areas and down areas. We can travel up And when we go up, it'll just take us to the second floor. So let's head up to the second floor, and it'll automatically take us to the second floor. There we are on the second floor. So you can go up and down on here, on any of these maps, the player characters can. Here we are in the chapel balcony. The wooden balcony overhangs the chapel. Now the railings aren't sturdy. You can see this red area here. This red area the players can see, there's a word here, it says 20-foot drop. This allows the players to know if they take the character into the red area, they will fall 20 feet, they will take 2d6 worth of bludgeoning damage. I'll do that so you can see how it happens automatically. So let's say the player goes over the railing here. Oh, I don't have this one turned on. It should have gone. Oh, they're stuck. Maybe I only have it on this side. Nope, I turned off the thing. I'll show you on the other one. There's another one here. I'll show you how it works. Let's go down here and do the south side first. So we've got this door here, and when we open the door, we have the bathroom. The bathroom contains an iron tub and wood paneling on the wall rising in there. What's interesting is black blood starts bubbling up from the drain filled in the tub, and there's this foul smell. Now, if the players remain in this room, if any player that remains in this room, right, that tub starts filling up with this black blood, and what that actually is filling up in the tub is a black pudding, and you can reveal that black pudding. If the players leave the room, the black pudding will just go back down the drain to where it came from. So this is like a layer of the black pudding living down inside the pipe underneath this tub and rising up. It'll bubble up into the tub. I'll leave it up to you. I would give the players, the longer they're searching this room, you can run it on a real timer, a physical timer, or you can run it, role play it. The longer they stay in here, as that tub fills up, all of a sudden that black pudding is now fully in that tub. Roll initiative, and you've got a combat encounter with the black pudding. Otherwise, if the players leave the room, black pudding disappears and goes back down into the drain. Over here, what we have this south alcove, and behind the curtain over here, you can barely see through the curtain. But once you go in there, you're going to see a statue, and over the statue is a black cloth covering something atop the white marble pedestal. Now, if they remove the black cloth from the statue, the players are going to see an illusion of a bloody severed head of a random party member. Select somebody in the party. They're going to see that person's head, the bloody severed head, kind of a dead head, just blood and sinew and shit just dripping down over that statue. And everybody's going to freak out because it's going to be the head, an illusion of a head of one of the party members. Now, the person whose head it is, they're going to hear this.
There are darknesses in life, and there is light. Which one are you? Remember, we learn from failure, not from success.
The illusion fades away after the player hears it, so only the player whose head is the illusion hears that. That is the voice of Strahd. And this quote is actually from Bram Stoker's Dracula. There are darknesses in life, and there are lights. Which one of them are you? Remember, we learn from failure, not from success. He is foreshadowing. This statue is a statue, actually, of Argynvostholt. And this is kind of a remnant of when Strahd was there and murdered Argynvost and his daughter. And the players are seeing something that may, it could be some kind of foreshadowing. They are now getting closer to their enemy. They are learning more and more about their enemy, Strahd. And they're hearing now Strahd's voice in their head. Are they darkness or are they light? Which one of them are they? And what Strahd's indicating is, are you aligned with me, or are you aligned with the knights, right? The knights were good, and he killed them all, or are you aligned with darkness? And he says, remember, we learn from failure, not from success. And that's why you're seeing the head. He's saying, if you fail, the answering the question correctly, you're going to be probably one of the dead guys. It's kind of a little creepy scene there. Okay, if we head to the upper one here, there's another alcove here. There's nothing in this alcove, but what is interesting here is you're going to be able to see from this alcove down to the mausoleum, and you'll see the guard down there. So if you didn't go into the cemetery yet, this is a great place where they'll be able to see, hey, there's a Revenant standing by this door, by this what appears to be a mausoleum in the graveyard down below. Now, in this room right here, the room is filled with water. This is just a special effect I did with lighting to make it look like moving water. And there is another trap here. You can barely see it. There's a tile here, and the tile is set up. I'll tell you, the tile is triggered at, this is Monk's active tile trigger. It's triggered at 50%. There's a 50% chance that the player will fall through the floor. So there's water seeping through the cracks to the ceiling. There's some stagnant, smelly, foul water on the floor. If the player steps in here, there's a 50% chance that they're going to fall through to the thing below. So let's try to trigger that. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. We're going to try to trigger it by having the player step on it. Nope. 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 There we go, I triggered it. So what happens is, I fall through right here, and I just suffered 2d6 worth of damage. I suffered 6 damage. I'm going to delete this so I can clear this up again. So I've fallen through to the first floor. If we go back to the second floor, right, you're going to see that the tile has revealed itself. The players will see the tile revealed itself, that it is a hole in the floor at this point. So it's only going to trigger 50% of the time. You can click on the tile, and you can trigger it, if you want to make it 65%, 75%, 50%. It's up to you and how you want to make that trigger. I just did it 50%, and then what happens is the player will fall through, and then the tile's revealed. If you want to reset the trap, just click on the tile, right-click on it. Whoop. Well, there we go. And make it invisible again. Now the tile's invisible. Let me get another character of me up here, in here, and we'll go check some more stuff up here on the second floor. So I didn't fall through, and now I'm heading down the hallway into here. Now again, these I might have these turned off, but just in case you do fall over the railing, it's a 20-foot drop. It automatically loads up the next one, and I've fallen down here, and again I've taken 2d6 worth of damage, took 7 damage, so I have to head back up. I'll go back up. Where it says up, it just takes you up to the next floor. There I am, back up here. All right, so all these things where you see down and up, the players will see this, so they know if they fall, they know this is down. If they step into this tile, it'll take them down to the first floor, reloads the map. There they are on the first floor, take them up, takes them back up to the second floor. This is all done with Monk's active tile triggers. It's all done in the module for you, so you don't have to do anything. Okay, so now we're going to go out here and check out these rooms here. We'll check out the one to this one over here first. I changed this up a little bit of rules as written. This is a new ruined knight's chamber. The south end is collapsed. It's damaged. Again, I did one of these scaling perception checks. DC 18, they find alchemist fire. A DC 19, they find a crossbow bolt +2. If the person does a perception check and rolls a DC 20 plus, they'll find a heavy crossbow +1. In addition, if the player goes to the edge, they will fall off here. This is a 20-foot drop down. Again, these are Monk's active tile triggers that will drop you down to the next floor. If you stand near the edge, there's a 25% chance that a spider revenant will climb up and begin attack. Again, if the players fall through here, they'll suffer 2d6 worth of damage in here. Let's go to the other room over here before we head up to the top part. I got another really cool thing up there. Can't wait to show you. Here's another room with the Revenant in there. This room doesn't have anything in it like the other room does with the scaling perception. This room has nothing in it if they search it, but I already got a Revenant loaded up here just in case you want to have a spider Revenant attack. So this is an alternative way in these two rooms to have an encounter with one of the spider Revenants just in case they didn't already. That happens up here. So let's go to the other side. Up here, I'm going to move around. I'm at a high level here, you can see. Now I'll zoom in. We're going to go up here and we're going to visit one of our special guest NPCs' bedrooms, the bedroom of Lady Lugdana. Now she's invisible. When you first come in here, she's invisible. You don't see her. Now this is a private chamber in here. The room was once well appointed, a large black marble hearth with a carved mantelpiece. Above hangs a portrait of a woman in plate armor holding a sword. A wardrobe stands in the north wall. A large four-posted bed sits opposite the fireplace with a carved dragon headboard. The mattress and bed have been torn and destroyed, and among the debris are skeletal remains. Now, what's important, there's a portrait here, and this portrait actually is a portrait, and it's the same image in the book Legends of Lugdana. And what we want the players here to do is put several pieces together. Most likely they have read the book or have heard of the Legends of Lugdana. They should have before they've come here. If they have that book, which they should have access to it before they've gotten here, they will see they'll look at they go, hey, this picture looks familiar. It's in the front of this book. Well, it's here framed over the mantelpiece. There's a picture of her. There she is. So that's the first connection. The second connection, if they do a successful nature check of the bones, they'll realize that the skeletal remains are of a woman. Okay, there's a woman picture on the wall. She's a knight. There's skeletal remains in here. It's a female. If they've read the book, it's like, oh, this could be the bones. Not done yet. The wardrobe's filled with cobwebs. There's a single dress in this wardrobe up here. See the wardrobe up here. And there's a black padded armor for wearing under plate armor. Now, if they do an investigation check of the black padded armor is designed for a woman. Note, a female player can wear this under chain or plate. So if you do have a female character, this is a specific female character item, which is a female black padded armor. If they're wearing chain or plate armor, this fits underneath it and adds an additional +1 AC bonus. So you can wear this and then wear plate over the top of it, or you can wear this and wear chainmail over the top of it, or you can just wear it by yourself, but it gives you a +1 AC, but it's designed to fit specifically a woman. So it's a really cool item to have because this is Lady Lugdana's padded black armor that she wore under her plate armor. So it's a really cool find for the players to have. This allows the players to draw a lot of conclusions. There's the mantle picture that matches the book. There's the there's the dress and the fitted padded armor for a woman. There's a skeleton of a woman in the bed, the portrait of the female knight. If they put it together that this is Lady Lugdana, and this is a good time to let the players investigate. They're talking about everything in here. What I would do is I would sit back and let the players talk. Listen to them. Let them do the investigation. Just answer some questions. You can add more to it if you want to. When the players put it together and you go, oh, this is Lady Lugdana, once they've come to that realization, the spirit of Lady Lugdana materializes, right? She's not going to materialize unless they make that connection that it is her. So this is kind of an investigation puzzles. They've got to figure it out whose room this is, which there's more than enough clues to do so. If they do, she appears. When she appears, and there she is right here, Lady Lugdana, the spirit of her, she will say this to the players. And we have it all here too. I'll send it up into chat so you can see it into chat as well. Send to chat. There it is. So you can send this to chat. But she also says this is my embarrassing voice acting as Lady Lugdana.
The Knights of the Order of the Silver Dragon have fallen from grace, controlled by the will of Vladimir Horngard and given purpose by his hate. Even my own spirit is anchored here through Vladimir's hate, unable to be freed. Vladimir sits in his throne room, brooding over his own hatred for Strahd. He is ruthless and powerful. I will warn you, as I have others, he is not to trifle with. The power of the magic infused within my father's bones will release Vladimir from his hate and give the knights the peace they richly deserve. For no man who fought in life should fight in death against darkness. Even if you obtain my father's skull, you will not be able to enter the mausoleum, for it is guarded by Vladimir's knights, and if anyone were to attempt to lay siege, a call to arms would bring forth all the knights to bear. Not all revel in the hatred which fuels Vladimir's rage against Strahd. These few knights and spirits would join with Sir Godfrey, who would convince Vladimir to stand down and allow for my father's skull to be placed where it belongs, in the mausoleum. These few haunt Argynvostholt. Find them. Ask for aid in the name of Argynvost. Sir Pius the Righteous, Sir Fortis the Defiler, Sir Armorik the Romantic, Sir Sonet the Poet, and the ghost of Sister Mercia. 2 should suffice in convincing Sir Godfrey.
So she is the first of the quest givers. However, unlike Sir Godfrey, which will be there all the time, she will only appear if the players figure out this is her room. Her spirit is anchored here, but she won't appear unless the players realize who she is. Now, she is a stat block, I think she's a stat block of a Spectre. Yeah, that's right. If you attack her, she'll just disappear. She's not interested in fighting, right? There's enough combat throughout Argynvost, believe me. She's not interested in fighting. She's just interested in her father's skull being returned to the mausoleum. So she gives you the quest. As we mentioned before, I got them all listed in here, who they are and what needs to be done as well, so you have this available to you here. Really, really cool. And you got that cool magic item, the black padded armor, female armor that goes under plate or chain that belongs to her. So let's go into the next room over here. The next room we have is this room over here. We got some cool stuff in here as well. And when the players go in here, they're going to see a ghost. The door to this room hangs open. 2 beds with torn canopy stand at opposite walls and tattered rugs lying on the floor. So between his wall is a fireplace with soot. Laying on one of the beds is tattered clothes of a sister from the abbey. So laying on one of the beds are some tattered clothes and a skeleton of one of the sisters of the abbey. This gives a clue that this room probably is where Sister Mercia was killed. Now, if the players enter the room, the ghost of the abbey will appear, and she'll be by one of the windows. Like maybe I'll just, she'll be like over here, staring out the window. Again, she's not going to attack the players. She's just going to be looking out the windows. If she's treated with kindness, if the players don't attack her and they treat her with kindness, she will say this. And I'll go ahead and do this again so you can hear it. And she is going to give them one of the quests that Lady Lugdana just talked about. So here we go. Send to chat, and we'll play her. Let me F5 this real quick. Sorry about that. It does that sometimes.
My spirit is linked to Argynvostholt. I was once the sister, caring for the injured knights during the Great War. I had perished when the Dark Lord slew Argynvost, and now I am trapped here through Vladimir's hatred. This place is full of darkness. It's dangerous. You must be careful. Please, help me. Return my bones to the Abbey and give them a proper burial. My spirit will be free, and no longer anchored to this dreaded place. I will forever be in your debt.
Now, this is the first quest, second quest after the Pius, Sir Pius the priest, righteous priest, down in the chapel. She's the second quest giver. So you've got 2 quest givers already by the time you get to the second floor. Her bones, they are found in the bed. They are an item the players can pick up. There's the bones of Sister Mercia to take to the Abbey to bury. Now let's head into here. Let me do this. I gotta reset this. This is really cool. I really like this trap. Okay. So, as you know, in Rules as Written, you've got this trapped hallway here. And the way this trapped hallway works is, in Rules as Written, if the players step towards any one of these doors, a wall will shut here, right here where I'm marking with my mouse. These doors will open and the room will flood in with these phantom warriors the players are going to have to attack. I did this with Monk's Active Tile Trigger, and I did this with the door, and I'll show you how this works. There are 2 hidden tiles. There's one here, and there's one over here. And they work with each other. So what happens is this. If the player walks down the hallway, one player, doesn't matter which player, goes down the hallway either way, they're going to trigger the trap, and this is what's going to happen. Watch the doors. You just heard that noise. Both the doors unlock and open. This door shuts and locks, and in these rooms, you've got your Phantom Warriors, which will attack. You've got 4 on this side, 3 on this side to deal with. If the players are on this side of the wall, they're stuck over here. The wall has come down. Players are going to be in a combat situation. Let's talk a little bit about Phantom Warriors. They are rules as written. They do have a spectral longsword, multiple attacks. They're not relatively big hit points to the level that your party's here, but because you have multiple ones, this could be a very deadly encounter. Now, the way I would run this, if there were players who were trapped on the other side of the doors, the trap will reset in 10 minutes, right? The door to the south, this one right here that shuts, requires a lockpick DC 15 or a strength 20 to open. So if the players are on the other side of this, when it gets to this player's turn, one player can aid another, try to unlock it. So instead of having this as a wall, I just had it as double doors that shut and lock. And just lock down. And the players now on their side are trying to get through this lock. So when it's their turn, they're going to try to bust through this. So you're either going to have to use a strength check, maybe they use some kind of magic to blow it open, or lock picking. They got to get through this door. So these players that are up here are that are fighting. Now the game will, once you trigger this, the game will pause and stop the player tokens. Hit spacebar to unpause the game to continue. If you want to reset the trap, click the green, double click the green button over here, and it resets the trap. This door will be open, these doors will be locked in here. So that's how the trap works. And it doesn't matter, you go to either side. If I go over here, you just heard that's the door slamming shut, and then these doors opening, right? And then you just hit the space bar, begin your combat encounter. There you go, you can reset the trap. The trap is reset. Let's talk about the rooms in each one of these rooms. We've got the West Knight's quarters over here, 3 Phantom Warriors in here. In here, buried under the wreckage is a small wooden coffer containing 4 potions of invulnerability, a spell scroll of Animate the Dead. So there's some cool treasure in here that would be helpful in here. If we go to the other side over here in this room, I just triggered that again. Keep on triggering that. What's going on? Okay, in the east side, you have 4 Phantom Warriors, and I included some other stuff in here. 4 torches, a longsword, a +1 maul, oil flask, and a chain shirt. So there's some good treasure in both of these. I didn't want to make the Ghost of Sister Mercia or Lady Lugdana combat encounters. If you attack, they disappear, because you're already going to be dealing with combat up here. One of the things that I think about a lot when I'm working on these guides is the pacing, right? You don't want to have just combat counter, and combat counter. Some of these you want more social encounters, engaging mysteries, exploration, and spacing out a little bit more. I also don't like to be too concerned about balancing the encounters, because I want the players, and this is something that you have to make sure that you communicate well in your session 0, that combat encounters may not be balanced. You need to, as the players, ascertain the risk and determine whether retreat is an option, or there's a way to circumvent this or creatively think our way around it. I think that is something that it's different than maybe the conventional rules of wisdom, trying to balance every single encounter. I don't like the idea of trying to balance everything. I want to have something that can be easy, a cakewalk so they can just pile drive through it, or ones which are going to probably be a TPK, and they got to probably go, we got to find a solution to get out of here. A couple things to think about up here. You've got these windows here. It's a 20-foot drop down. Maybe the players jump out through the window to try to escape because these other people can't get through the door. There's so many different things that you can do to solve this problem, rather than just straight up fight and kill everything to the end. I would make sure to tell my players, not every combat encounter is you're going to win. You should retreat, or decide to retreat, or come up with an alternative way. But there are some of them that you just don't want to do to the death. You want to get out of there, and maybe you're running low on hit points, and maybe trying to escape is a better option. So let the players think dynamically through this. I also like to think Curse of Strahd is not a game of super fantasy heroes, but kind of extraordinary adventures, dealing with very difficult situations, and not everything is going to be that easy. So that's the first and second floor of Argynvostholt. This is the end of part 1. Part 2 video will cover the third and fourth floor, plus the tower, second floor tower, and the top. That's got the cool, got a cool sun sword thing going on there. There's a lot more to explore here. Please make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe. Stay tuned for part 2. It's coming up shortly. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing to this channel. If you're interested in going ahead to support me, there is a link in the description down below to support me and get more access to all this content, including the Foundry Adventure modules. Until next time, may all your roles be critically successful.